Brady held up his hand like, "Excuse me." Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, this is your host Lavinia Dasani, and in today's video we are going to be diving right into chapter 13 of our novel Snowblind by author Cassie Miles. So grab yourself your cup of tea or coffee or hot cocoa and join me. Welcome. So in the previous video we found out that Westfield and Lauren was working together, Sam Moreno and Andrea was working together, and they were both in a bidding war for the property of Jim Birch, who owned the Dude Ranch. And a quick recap, both Westfield and Lauren are killed. And Lauren is actually the murder body, but Westfield's death was classified as an accident. So I'm guessing we are going to be finding out that he was actually murdered. Maybe not in chapter 13, but in the next few chapters. But my guess is you're going to have to reopen the Westfield case. So let's jump right into chapter 13 and see what it uncovers for us. When Sasha returned to the meeting, she wanted to let the computerized version of Damien knew that she was going to be seeing some security footage, but Damien, being Damien, just plainly ignored Sasha and said that he was busy and just talking with Reinhardt and trying to figure things out, which annoyed Sasha. Because she saw it because she saw it as Damien basically telling her that her conversation was less important and her role as an eyewitness was even less important, which was not. But she held her tongue, and her and Brady made their way to the elevator. On their way there, Sasha was majorly glad that neither the concierge or the ice cold Anita, remember the girl who from the very beginning was very mean, but did actually give them the clue of the fried noodles that was Sam Moreno's special. Sasha did not want to meet any of those cold-hearted, mean people who will be making her feel less or just giving out condescending comments. Though as she hit the button to summon the elevator, she could not take it anymore. She was raging inside and just freaking exploded. I can't believe this. What? From just that expression, what? You can see that Brady was like majorly confused there. Like, you're just imagine you're just with someone hitting the elevator and then it's like freaking explode on you, and I was like, what happened? What just happened? Sasha exclaimed that she could not believe that Damien didn't tell her that Lauren and Westfield was working together, because these should have been the first word out of his mouth, particularly after she told him that Lauren was a victim. Are you sure he knew? Damien asked. Not Damien, Brady. Playing the devil's advocate, Brady was like, "Are you sure he knew?" Sasha, having worked with Damien for so long, she was sure, like sure with a capital S, because Westfield was one of his biggest clients. If Westfield was planning on buying a huge property or estate by the mountain property, Damien will know. He's still playing the devil's advocate. Brady was like, maybe he thought it was not important. Don't you dare defend him. Oh, shit! Sasha hit the elevator button. I've been doing the best I can in a messy situation, and my boss is holding back information, treating me like a lackey, which I suppose is how he sees me. I'm not another Tony, not a colleague. I am just a girl who gets coffee. Oh, Sasha is not happy. No. She is not happy at all. Hey! Brady held up his hand like, excuse me, I'm not in that conversation. But he tried to stop her ranting. I just watched you take charge with a sheriff, 2 deputies, and a billionaire developer. You're doing a hell of good of a job. He played his card right, because that's exactly what Sasha needed to hear in that moment. So guys out there, even if you don't read books as much as you probably should, this is one advice you can take from the book. If your girl is ranting, you need to know she needs to hear some type of word. Depending on the ranting, you've got to be careful, because sometimes some ranting is like, you just have to listen. Don't say a word, don't breathe too loud, just listen. And some type of ranting is where you have to come in with a words that's gonna make her feel better, just like Brady did right there. And you wanna know how good that worked? Listen. As soon as they entered the elevator and the door closed, Sasha threw herself at Brady, went on her tiptoe and kissed him hard. That in itself tells you what happens when you know how to listen properly and give the right response. With his hand at her waist, he anchored her against his hard body, muscled body. And even though Sasha had initiated the kiss, it was Brady who took charge. His mouth was firm and subtle. Supple? I'm not sure how you're gonna pronounce it, but I'm gonna write it right here so you can figure out how to pronounce it on your own. But just know that his mouth was not sloppy. When his tongue penetrated her lips, he set off an electric chain reaction. Her entire body trembled, her heart raced. Well, good description, but does this actually happen? I don't know. But good description. I'm with the description here. Too soon, the elevator door opened on the first floor. Sasha gave a frantic little gasp and pulled herself together and stepped away from him. After all, she does not want anybody to see them. It's not very professional, Sasha. Nah. Standing directly outside the elevator was Grant Jacobson. His stern features were lit with a huge grin. Let me guess, Brady said. The surveillance in the elevators is operational. That's funny. Okay, the next one is funny too. And I can transfer the picture to this portable screen. He held up a flat device, slightly larger than a cell phone. Too bad I'm not in the blackmail business. That's funny. Just imagine you being in that situation. Oh my god. It's gonna be funny and embarrassing. But I like that conversation. I like it. I'm into that. It's nice to see here again. Sasha said she was trying to not be embarrassed and failing. I mean, I will too. I will majorly fail. I wouldn't even try to talk at this point. I would be like, see ya. And even worse for Sasha was that the thrill hadn't stopped. Her mouth was still tingling, and her lipstick hadn't already been... Excuse me. That's not what I said. If her lips were not already worn off, it would have been smeared all around her face. Across her face. You see, like, every time I come across those little detailed, romantic, funny pieces, the next thing I read is not gonna come out right because the inside of me is happy and I'm laughing and I'm like, I can't breathe properly anymore. Jacobson chuckled. He was like, oh, but the pleasure was all mine. Yeah, I'm sure. You got to see freaky thing live. Trying to get, like, I'm guessing that's why Bradley said, did you have some surveillance for me to look at? He was basically trying to regain control of the situation. Good for him. Okay, bringing them to the computer surveillance room, we see that they have a city technology in that small town, and there's cameras everywhere, and they're fully operational. Jacobson pointed out that all the public space, all the hallways and parking lots are covered, and now that we also know that the elevators are covered too, which all of this was done in a day, because apparently one way to make problem go away fast is to just throw a handful of money at them, which, I mean, not all problem, I'm guessing. I don't know, maybe, but that's what it says here. As Brady and Jacobson was putting the feed for the front lobby and the approximate time that Brady gave Jacobson, Sasha realized, or actually dawned on her, that it's only been 24 hours since she'd witnessed a murder, had her life threatened, probably was going to lose her job, and had kissed an incredible man twice. And she was like, how can somebody's life change so much in 24 hours? And as my theory, or actually saying goes, somebody's life can be changed in 1 second. So 1 full day? Oh, there's a lot that can happen. As Sasha was looking at the surveillance tape, trying to pick out any person who looked like the killer, or anyone that was suspicious enough, that gave her that weird cold feeling when she was at the front desk at the lobby, part of her attention was at the back of her, where Brady and Jacobson were talking. And they were basically just summarizing the breaking at the condo, and how the person who broke in was like a pro, because he came in like 2 minutes flat. So that sounded like a job of a pro. Jacobson asked Brady if he was going to just let Sasha stay alone at the condo, which Brady pointed out that no, he was not. Actually, Sasha wanted to stay at the hotel where it was safe, and he was going to organize that. Hearing that, Sasha wanted to jump in and say that she had actually changed his mind and that she wanted to go with Brady's offer to stay at his ranch. There's two levels here, because on one hand, it was actually more effective because the meeting the next day was at Julie's ranch, which was more logical for her to be staying closer so that she can go there quicker. But on the other hand, Sasha too now wanted to take those kisses to the next level. So now we have both of them wanting to take it to the next level. See, I told you, it's gonna get closer and closer and closer. And even though Sasha wasn't actually one to quickly fall into a man's arm, because that part of her was done for, especially since she hated the rumors about her and Damien and how, they were undermining her. Part of her was like, she didn't mind having a rumor started about her and Brady, because Brady would be a man she would be proud to stand with, and she figured that given how decent Brady's personality was, that he will not purposely hurt her, which is why she was so relaxed to fall into his arms and just, I guess, take it to the next step. But before she could speak up, Brady and Jacobson had already arranged for her to stay at the hotel, where there were going to be a security person patrolling her floor every now and then to make sure that she was going to be safe. A funny point is, since Brady was technically the bodyguard of Sasha wanted to remind Brady of his bodyguard duties and point out that he should stay with her at the hotel to make sure she's safe. And it would be a chance for her to take it to the next level. But she didn't want to push it because, even though if she had hinted it, at this point it would be a bit obvious. So let's see if Brady actually just proposed to stay. That can happen too. When they entered the room, which wasn't very fancy, just like a nice little suite, Brady was avoiding the largest piece of furniture in the room, which, guess what it is? Okay, I'll let you comment. What is the largest piece of furniture in the room that Brady is going to stay away from? Because he's not shy, remember, he's not shy. He's a quite confident man. So comment, let me know what type of furniture that is. Okay, I hope you got it right, because it was a bed. He was freaking shying away from the bed because, with the chemistry between them, I figured staying away from the bed would be a wise choice, because you never know. Brady instead leaned his hips against the dresser and suggested to Sasha that he will be back the next day to bring her to her meeting, which Sasha answered that maybe he shouldn't have to, and that she could probably ride in the van with the others. But Brady said that he wanted her to stay as far away from the investors as possible, because to begin with he didn't like those people, but now they are all suspect, which was crazy on its own, because Sasha witnessed a murder and it turns out all the people she's working with are now currently the suspect. That in itself is odd and quite a bit crazy, Because where's the trust there? There's going to be no trust. No. Additionally, it would seem that after checking with Jacobson, Brady and him found that over a week, like the week before the grand opening, over half of the people currently staying in the hotel are either employees, consultants, or independent contractors of all of the partners. Or minions, because we have San Marino. He has followers and minions, not partners. So over half of the hotel is packed with people who could possibly kill her or have killed her the moment. Sitting on the edge of the bed and just stretching out and taking off her coat, taking off her boot, Sasha pointed that even though everyone was a suspect about right now, Uncle Dooley was not a suspect because he was like a cute little uncle, I would say, like nice, cute little uncle, and he was not a suspect. And Brady was like, you can be sure Virgil P. Westfield had been around for long, and Dooley might have very well known him. But Uncle Dooley was not a subtle man. If he had a beef with someone, he'd come after them 6 gun blazing. So we can see that Brady is trying to make the atmosphere a bit easy by joking, because well, Uncle Dooley is like way out of the boat of suspect, at least for me, because he's just getting profit. He's not getting any lot out of it. I don't think he should even be in the suspect list right now. Kathy Cook, on the other hand, knew Westfield and was quite interested in the status of Westfield's death. Because remember, she and Sam were both questioning Sasha about Westfield's death. And just like I had suggested at the very beginning of this video, so it finally occurred to Sasha that maybe these 2 deaths might be connected, which Brady agreed with, that it could be a very high possibility. But they weren't sure if Westfield was actually murdered, and asked if Damien had mentioned anything to her. But from the explosion that Sasha went through earlier, we can see that Damien talking about the Westfield case with Sasha was unlikely. As far as Damien was concerned, Sasha was a tape recorder with legs. Because her job was to listen and keep track of what's happening and not think for herself. And yet again, playing his cards right, Brady was like, I'd like to hear your opinion. Like, I like your opinions. Which you should always try to listen to each other's opinion. Just side note here. And even though talking about the murders were basically draining all the sexiness out of the room, the conversation and between them, which was probably for the best, Sasha had not given up on getting more kisses out of Brady. But for now, they were still talking about the case and how Westfield and Lauren had died a day between each other. So Westfield died first, and the next day Lauren died. And since Westfield had made most of his fortune buying and selling commercial properties in Denver, actually he owned most of the land where the tech center in Denver was, which I don't think they've given us much information so far, but that's one of the detailed points here. With Westfield working this type of business, being the ex-wife on Red Hot, who basically worked the same line of business, even though they were different, they were basically the same line. It was a natural step for Lauren to be working with Westfield and probably selling him more properties that they didn't know about. As much as talking was interesting, Sasha was itching to get closer to Brady, especially after he removed his cowboy hat and just like ran his finger through his unruly brown hair. Sasha like really wanted to reach closer and be with Brady and just touch him, I guess. The light reflecting from his hazel eyes was enticing her. If she had given in to her desire, she would have flown across the hotel room and right into Brady's arm. While they were discussing, Brady brought up the topic about Andrea saying that Lauren had the old man, which is Westfield, wrapped around her fingers, which gave Brady the impression that their relationship might not have been strictly business. And since Westfield's third wife had died 4 years ago, there's a chance that Lauren was aiming to be the next Mrs. Westfield, which will be a whole different motive for murder. Maybe the family was involved in killing both Lauren and Westfield. And backing me up yet again, Brady thought that since Westfield was 92 years old, the heirs of his wealth was not going to be too happy if he had married again. But since Westfield didn't have any child of his own, basically from what I could understand here and from what Sasha said, Westfield's real love was all his cats. And actually he had built a cat condo that went up 2 stories, and all of his cats were stray. Westfield considered all his cats to be his real family. However, his inheritance could possibly go to his nephew. However, since his inheritance can't go to the cats, his nephew, who worked for the family foundation, was the primary heir. But at the same time, a big chunk of the money was going to the cat shelter, which was, obvious if he dedicated his life to loving cats so much and building a freaking 2-story condos for them. It would make sense that part of his wealth would go to a cat shelter. As a stillness crept into the room, because they were, after talking about Westfield, they were like quiet for a bit, Sasha's sweater seemed too warm. Her clothing took confining. She could not keep her gaze from drifting toward the king-size bed, which seemed even bigger and more dominating. She wished they could lie beside each other, not necessarily do anything else. Yeah, sure, who was she trying to kid? She wanted the whole experience with Brady. Yeah, I was like, you don't want to do anything else? Like, you've been going throughout this whole chapter wanting more, and now you're telling me you just want to lie on a bed with him and not do anything else. Yeah, you're not kidding me, girl. I should get going. Moving from the dresser, Brady pointed out. I feel like Brady felt the air moving, felt Sasha's gaze, and the way she was looking from him to the bed. So he was like, if I don't go right now, something is gonna happen. Sasha wanted to beg Brady to stay, but there was several questions going over her mind. She didn't know if she could ask him to stay, and if she did, what if Brady said no? And not knowing what to say, she basically stammered and was like, I guess I'll see you in the morning. When Brady was at the door before he left, before leaving, because I don't know if he's going to leave yet, before leaving, he said that as soon as I leave, flip the latch on the door. Don't let anybody else in the room. Promise me. I'll be careful. I would have given him the puppy dog eyes if I wanted him to stay when I would say I'll be careful, just, I don't even know how to do it, but if you're writing, you could make your character do it. Pleasant dreams, Brady said before he left. As soon as Brady left the room, Sasha deflated like a balloon. She wanted to run down the hall and tackle Brady before he got into that elevator. She even bounced to her feet but did not take another step. She wasn't going to chase him down. She'd missed her chance for tonight. Yes, you did, girl. Yes, you did. Could have opened your mouth and asked, but nope. Nope. Instead, she did what Brady asked her and flipped that handle so that nobody would come in her room. Not accidental visits, no maids, not even purposeful murderers trying to shut her. She relaxed at the thought of her being safe in that room, particularly since Jacobson had surveillance everywhere and he was gonna have someone patrolling the floor where Sasha was. As Sasha was getting ready for the night and to take a long hot shower before hitting the giant bed that was calling her name earlier, she stripped down to her underwear, but just then she heard a knock on the door. Her heart leaped. Was it Brady coming back? She could only hope he'd gotten into the SUV and realized that he needed to spend the night with her and returned to her. But before I read the other one, I don't think that's Brady. I think Brady is gone. And right now somebody else just came to get to her. She grabbed an oversized terry cloth rope from a hook in the bathroom and dashed to the door. On her tiptoe, she peeked through the fisheye. It was Sam Moreno. What did I say? Not Brady. Freaking somebody else that is gonna try to get to her. Do you think she's gonna open the door? She's gonna be stupid enough to open the door, or just like pretend she couldn't hear it, or pretend she's sleeping, or maybe, you know what? Why the choice? Call Brady. Just call Brady and have him come back up because Sam Moreno is here. Not just because you needed your man by your side, nope, but because Brady was a freaking cop, man. Just call Brady and then have him deal with that while you're inside. That would be me, but I'm not sure what Sasha is gonna do, but I'm thinking something stupid. That's my guess. But if you did like this video, please drop a like, turn on that bell notification and subscribe. Until next time, big kisses.